two open forums tonight. Thank you. Mr. Byron Keesler.
Oh, wow.
I won't tell you the rumors I heard about you, but
They're all true. Thank you, Mr. President. Byron Keesler, 516 West Blount Street. I would like to respond to a recent viewpoint by the city attorney in the Independent News concerning a citizen's right, or lack thereof, to speak at city council and other public meetings. I agreed with many of the points, including that public discourse should indeed remain civil in tone and respectful from either side of the dais, nor do unfounded accusations of malicious or insidious intent have any place in addressing one's grievances. I also agreed that except for open forums, speakers may rightly be expected to remain on topic and not stray to peripheral or irrelevant issues. Although I disagree with the rulings in my own case concerning a citizen's right to speak at public meetings under the Sunshine Law, I respect and abide by the court's ruling. I was, however, surprised that the city attorney failed to note that the Sunshine Law decision in Keesler v. CMPA does not affect a citizen's First Amendment right to speak in a traditional public forum like the council chamber. What I found particularly troubling in the viewpoint was the implication that members of the public have no right to be more than spectators, quote unquote, under the Constitution. Not only is it contrary to the First Amendment, but the very language is beyond abhorrent to anyone who values his role and obligations as a citizen. I also found grating an undercurrent of antipathy against members of the public who are, after all, sovereign in our system of government. But citizen input should be more than simply tolerated. It can be of value only if it is taken seriously and not just allowed so as to humor the speaker. In much the same way a mother allows a child to help by holding the dustpan. Should there be any doubt by anyone of the substantive and constructive value of citizen input, consider the following. A citizen stood before this body and expressed his concerns about a mounting pension liability a full year before anyone else began viewing it as a problem. Several citizens pointed out to the CMPA at its meeting on December 12, 2008, the disturbing history of defaults, foreclosures, and breaches of contract in the background of the one-time master developer of the Maritime Park. But the board stood mute and passive. Now, years later, after paying more than $2.5 million to that developer, the CMPA finds itself in expensive litigation with the same developer. Having been rebuffed and their comments dismissively rejected, few of those speakers are seen here anymore, and the clear message is that others should follow their example. It is not the law under our Constitution, however, that I be relegated to the role of spectator in my own city and the condescending tone of the viewpoint toward members of the public to whom this government belongs, after all, and who seek only to see it work better offends me greatly. I thank you.
thank you. And you know, Mr. Keesler, I'll tell you, I read the viewpoint, and I tried to read it from two different points of view: the point of view that where I sit now, and the point of view of when I was sitting out in the audience. And
Yes, sir.
I wasn't really troubled by the tone of either one of us, because I've gotten to know Mr. Messer, and I know that he does not feel that way. It may have been a little more academic in his argument, you know, than what it could have been. But I know he certainly supports the First
I'm
Amendment.
not responding to the person. I'm responding to the message, to the words. And with all due respect, you know, any amount of equivocation and sophistry could not reconcile the message there concerning the role of citizens only as spectators with the clear and unambiguous words in the First Amendment. And that's what troubles me most.
Before you take your seat, there's two people that want to address your remarks, Ms. Myers and then Mr. Geralds.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Keesler. I'm glad to see you back, that you're back. And I want to thank you for being a champion of the First Amendment all of these years that I've known you. And for the record, I too have a problem with the viewpoint that was written by the city attorney, especially in his role as the city attorney. I personally take issue with the message, and just looking at it from a perspective of a citizen, I think it sent a message that was not quite accurate. I have been a citizen sitting out there for many more years than I've been sitting on the city council, and I hope I never lose that perspective. I do want you to know, and the public to know, however, that the city council voted unanimously to send a letter to our public officials, our representatives in the Senate, supporting Senate Bill 206, which guarantees the right of citizens to speak at public forums and on at city council meetings. While our city council does allow public forum and comments on issues that come before the council, at this point it's a privilege and not a right, but we do support that right, and we have sent a unanimous voice to our local delegation that we support that right, and we hope that our local delegation will vote in favor of House Bill 206.
As do I. Thank you.
Mr. Geralds.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I can echo some of those remarks in that, Mr. Keesler, it's nice to see you again. However, I wanted to point out, not just to you, and you may have already read this and be familiar with it, but I want to make sure that the citizens know and understand as well as members of council. The new charter is very clear on citizen participation at our meetings. And a review of that. You see, recent events of recent days has caused me not only to review the new charter on a frequent basis, but it has come to the point I've been forced to learn it. To learn it. Not only is it clear the level of citizen participation that we allow, at the end of the comments in the new charter, it also states that the citizen gets the last word, period. And that was what we approved when we approved the charter. So you're absolutely correct in that we made adequate and good provisions for citizen participation. As a matter of fact, that was one of our strategic plans, was to improve citizens' interaction and participation in what we're doing. So you're absolutely right. It's good to bring it up. Hopefully everyone will understand, but that portion about the citizen getting the last word, because it's difficult if someone says something and you don't have a right to say anything back. You just have to leave the microphone. But in our charter, it specifically states that the citizens get the last word. Thank you, and thanks again for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Byron.